Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Field of 68's last call. Do you think that you could take down a black bear?
No, hell no.
I'm going to try.
The first person that's going to die has got to be one of the black guys. So.
Cold cuts, they suck.
Are Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce going to get married?
Hell no.
Here we go. It's last call.
All right, welcome to the Field of 68's last call. We are live on Stadium. We got Matt McCall. We got Jarrell McNeil. My name is Greg Waddell. It's been a great night on After Dark here. Some chaos, some elite defense from Virginia, and then Jerome Tang doing Jerome Tang things, another overtime win. Now we take your questions for the next 30 minutes. We're going to start with one tonight from Danny, who leads us off saying, who wins a Kentucky versus Virginia matchup? McCall, your thoughts?
Wow, talk about conflicting styles of play. I'm going to go with Kentucky. I just think they're going to be more battle-tested. I think the SEC is a notch above the ACC, and Kentucky's gone through some adversity. And I think when they're clicking on the offensive end of the floor, and they've shown that when the ball gets thrown up the floor and it's hopping around. And I said this the other night in the Field of 68, coaching against Cal for, however many years, the University of Florida, 4 years when I was an assistant coach there trying to scout his teams, he's running way more sets now than he did back then. And they're executing. They just got to figure out what they're doing on the offensive or on the defensive end of the floor and how they're going to stop teams and how they're guarding pick and rolls and those types of things. But when that offense is clicking and they execute their offense and they're running their sets and then there's floor spacing and DJ Wagner's out there with Reed Shepherd and Dillingham and Trey Mitchell can stretch the floor and make threes, I'm going to give the nod to Kentucky.
Jarrell?
Yeah, I'm with Matt on this one. I think essentially it's a battle of the wheels and a team that wants to get up and down and has the young guys with the fresh legs and wants to play fast versus Virginia and the Tony Bennett style and the slower pace with the tough the tough defense and things like that. So but I think eventually what'll win out is that is just Kentucky's talent. I think they're too talented at too many different positions. So that's going to create some real matchup issues for Virginia. And, Kentucky has the ability and they got talented enough guys that are going to be able to make shots from the outside and keep you honest and beat you. So I think Kentucky would eventually overwhelm them and get them.
I would want to know who's suiting up for Kentucky that night. If they're at full strength, which the hypothetical I assumes,
that's fair.
Then I think you guys are right. But if they're missing DJ Wagner, if they're missing another key piece, if Cal's kind of working any of his random 13 guys any given night, I think Virginia has a more established identity right now, which scares me. So I'm going to say Virginia, but I feel really, really gross about saying that out loud. This is a good one from Jacob here. He says, Matt, what would you tell your big if he constantly gets in foul trouble? Is there a technique adjustment for a big to avoid fouls?
I think watch Zach Edey. When you watch Zach Edey play, he does an unbelievable job of avoiding foul trouble. I mean, he really does. When his guy catches in the post, both hands go up. He never drops his arms down or swipes down at the ball. He's always got his hands up. I think that's one of the biggest things. I think when you're guarding pick and rolls, not to try and jab at the ball handler or swipe down on the ball handler, no matter what coverage you're in. If you're half blitzing pick and rolls, if you're weaking pick and rolls in the middle of the floor, if you're icing pick and rolls on the wing, never using your hands and try to steal on the ball, right? We used to always talk about trap on the ball, steal off the ball. And I think sometimes bigs get in foul trouble when they're guarding ball screens. Bigs get in foul trouble in post coverage when they're being too physical. And when their guy catches it, you got to put both hands up in the air and just try to make them take it difficult too. I think Zach Edey, when you watch him play, that guy, because he could foul every single possession, he does an unbelievable job of just trying to avoid picking up fouls. So biggest advice is watch him, especially when he's guarding guys in the post.
Jarrell, if you got a big man who won't stop fouling, what do you go say to him?
I'll just give you a rundown to try to keep it at a minimum without going into too much detail. But the three things that I always talk about, and especially trying to teach kids at the youth levels, is number one, and this is kind of gonna fall into everything what that Matt just talked about, is discipline. Being disciplined with your hands, not making silly fouls, being on balance, being in position, not leaning, not having your hands over the top like this, understanding all of that type of stuff. The second thing, and this will be kind of a coach speak as well too, is just always doing your work early. Not trying to jump around guys when you get caught in a bad spot and getting yourself out of position, trying to gamble. And the last thing I would say is just understanding the rules. I do a ton of drills with stuff, especially for big guys with verticality stuff, just getting them to understand the rules of what they can and cannot do. And even just post defense, because the rules differ sometimes, whether you can have an arm bar and a hand on them, and to make sure that the elbow is bent, that you can't have an extended elbow with your arm bar and all that type of stuff. And I know a ton of college coaches for sure. It's probably almost mandatory at this point, but I know they do a ton of that. They always usually bring officials in, the head officials in, or the director of officials in, and they have that day where you come in and you go over certain stuff, and you have your guys ask questions. And, I used to get it out. Look, I fouled way too much as a player, so I needed to know.
That's the most waste of time day in practice.
I had all my questions
with the commissioner of officials, but I'm sitting there and he's telling all our guys this, and you're looking at the guy and you're like, okay, man, all right, yep. And then all those point of emphases that they make.
Yeah, that goes out the window by like the second week. Second week of the season is like nobody remembers any other points of emphasis. No, absolutely.
Yeah,
but like I said,
the commissioner officials came in and talked to us about this. Oh yeah, he's setting. Come on, man. Come on.
It's over. Yeah.
All right, Jacob, there's your technical breakdown from the coach and the player that we got here as the experts on the field of 68. For the record, in my men's league, when my big man won't stop fouling, I just look at him and I say, "Stop fouling, dumbass. Get your head out of your ass." All right, this is from Brian. He says, "I think Nebraska could make the Sweet 16. Am I crazy?" Jarrell, what do you think?
I don't think he's crazy. I think it could. I think it could line up for him. Definitely, Nebraska's a good team. I've got a chance to watch them a couple different times on some good occasions this year where they've been playing at home and got some big wins. But look, when their outside shots are falling, I think they do a really good job of playing the game the right way. They swing the ball, they move the ball a lot. Rink mass is big for him. He does a lot out of the post and passing out of the post, even that just kind of collectively brings all of those other guys together, man. But they got an opportunity if they're making their threes and their outside shots. I definitely can see them getting to the second weekend and advancing to the Sweet 16, especially depending on how the brackets and everything line up.
Yeah, we've seen.
Yeah, I'm with Jarrell on that one. I'm with him. Yeah. I think if they're making threes, they're a dangerous team. Fred Hoiberg and what he's gone through there, he's gotten time to put his stamp on that program. Time is not something that a lot of coaches get these days. And the fact that Nebraska has stuck with him, he's a great coach. Look what he did at Iowa State, and he's putting his stamp, his style of play, his culture. He's recruited the right way. He's figured it out, the right guys to get there. I would not be shocked if they're in the second weekend. If they're making threes, to Jarrell's point, they're a dangerous team.
Yeah. What I really like about this Nebraska team is that I felt like what made Nebraska special last year when they were good was it was like, a Tominaga nuclear game. This year that can still happen, but it's a feature. It's not the entire identity. Like Rank Mast is awesome. He's one of the better bigs in this conference. Bryce Williams, a dude that's played a lot of basketball, can beat you a lot of different ways. They got vets. They got talent in the backcourt, talent in the front court. And they still have Kisei Tominaga, who's one of the few players in the country who can NBA jam you to 6 threes to victory. All right, we're going to go to break here on the last call. Coming up, the questions are going to get weirder and weirder here with the Field of 68. Welcome back to the last call here with the Field of 68. We're live on Stadium. This is post Field of 68 after dark. I got Matt McCall. I got Jarrell McNeil. My name is Greg Waddell. We're taking your questions for the next 20 minutes. In the break, we were just chatting it up here about how Jarrell was able to sit in person and witness Luka Doncic's 70-point performance recently. That leads me to a question. Sorry, chat. I'm jumping in. I'm stealing the show. What is your career high in any basketball game you've ever played? How many points is the most that you have scored in a game? I want this answer from both of you because I feel like McCall's got a sneaky high number that he's thinking of right now. Jarrell, what's the most points you've scored in a game?
I'm trying to, and I got to double check. I know for sure. I had a couple 40-point games for sure. The years that I played in the D League. Well, it's the G League now. It was the D League then, and that's how old I am. But yeah, I think I scraped close to like a 48, almost a 50-point game when I played in the CBA in China. And to be honest with you, over there, that's like child's play because this dude's just dropping like 70 and 80. And I just never felt comfortable or good enough to shoot the ball that many times to get to that range. So,
How are you going to go to him first? That's what I want to know. How are you going to go to him first?
I'm sorry, I tried to guess you up, Matt. What's the number?
Maybe had 50 in a game. Go to him first.
All right.
I don't know, 25, 27, probably somewhere around there. I don't think I ever clipped the 30 mark as a player. But I sat there in my first year at UMass, and I watched Lawan Pipkins go for 44, as a 5'9" guard against LaSalle. Was one of the single most impressive performances I've seen on a sideline against a team. I mean, it was unbelievable. And he just kept making three after three after three. So I'll throw that one in there because you can't, tee him up when he's talking about Jarrell's talking about dropping 50 and then say, hey, you were a student, man, University of Florida. What's your career? Come on, man.
Don't feel bad, Matt. Don't feel bad, Matt, because in college, it was, and when I left and I was the all-time leading scorer, and I want to say my career high in college was like 30 or 31. So it was it was a lot of pounding a rock, just going to work every day. Now 20, you can shoot me in for a nice 20 piece, but that 30 ball, yeah, you had to get cooking with some grease, and it's also a byproduct of, I played with some really good players, and I played with about 4 or 5 other guys who were pros, like NBA level pros. So you got to swing it around a little bit. Can't shoot it all the time.
Jarrell, when you're watching that 70-point performance the other night, are you like, did you know he had 70? Or are you like, you had to keep looking up at the score? Are you like, damn?
So Matt, you know how sometimes they say, "Oh my God, he's got 25. That's the quietest 25." This was the
Yeah.
loudest 70 points in Atlanta that you ever that you could ever witness. Because I was literally like, I walked in 2 or 3 minutes into the game starting, and I was like, "Shit, Luka's got 20." He had 20 something points at the end of the first quarter. So it's like at that point, you're like, "Oh God, okay." You're just waiting for him to slow down, but listen, it took to about the last 6 minutes of the game, and I didn't understand this for them to start all out doubling them, and I was just like, I'm not getting this. The guy has 60 before we just started going. Hell, let's just make somebody else beat us. Yeah, so it was a loud 70. I don't even know if
Loud
that's
70.
the right thing to
Loud
say.
70.
It was a loud 70. Yeah.
Yeah, 70's crazy. That's like 4 more than McCall's average 18-hole round these days while we're at it. So
Oh, here we go. Never, not how you're
yeah,
going to throw that up there. You're
trying
gonna,
to win you
Sneak
back.
that one in there.
that's what you're doing. You kind of
I'm
slid
trying
that
to
one
win
in
you
there,
back, McCall. I'm trying to win you back. Okay, back to the chat questions. I'm sorry, Chad. I derailed us here. We'll fly through some of these. Michael wants to know who can create more havoc, Indiana State or Drake, or can they both get in? McCall, who do you think?
Oof. Did you see that game on Saturday? I mean, that was a high-level game. I mean, Tucker DeVries had some chances down the stretch. I mean, that was one of the better mid-major basketball games that we've seen. And you're talking about two high-level coaches. I think they should both be in the field. I really do. I don't see 68 teams, and I know there's automatic bids that are better than those two. I think they should both be in the field. But that game on Saturday, that was an entertaining basketball game to watch as I was flying back from being in the studio up for NBC. I mean, that was unbelievable. I mean, those are two really, really good basketball teams.
100%. Jarrell, your thoughts?
Yep, and I'm with Matt on this, and it's probably gonna sound a little bit like a hot take, but I think the Missouri Valley should get one at large bid for the opposite team that doesn't win the conference tournament. And to be honest, it might be Indiana State or it might be Drake, but I would even throw Bradley into the mix, man. I think Bradley's a really good team, and they've had a hell of a season too. So with some of these other power conferences not being what we thought they were going to be and being down, like, you know, the ACC doesn't seem to be as good as we thought it was going to be. The Big East is a little bit of a cluster bomb right now with a ton of teams that are just like staring the bubble right in the eye. So some are going to get in, some are not going to get in. And the Big Ten being atrocious this year, like, the Valley should get one more at-large team, and then whoever wins the conference tournament, they should get 2 teams in. It's a good league, man. It's a tough competitive league, and they got some good players, man. And to be honest, they've been robbing them blind. A lot of these high major programs have been robbing them blind the last couple off of some of these Missouri Valley players. So,
yeah, both very good basketball teams. I think Indiana State's more dangerous in March if we had to pick one, but not mad at either answer. 2 quick ones here from Mark. Give me rapid fire style, guys. Is Alabama the hottest team in the country right now? Yes or no? Jarrell, your thoughts?
I think they'd be up there. I would probably take. I think I would take Tennessee though. I would still take Tennessee. I think Alabama's up there though. They are playing well. They're playing a lot better, and obviously they got a ton of talent. So we'll see how it goes. But I think they're in the mix for hottest team in the country. But I would still take Tennessee right now.
Okay. I think I'm going South Carolina for the record. I think some of the wins they've got,
pick.
Tennessee and Kentucky in a 5-game winning streak right now. If you're only going back 2 weeks or so, give me Carolina. McCall, what's your answer?
RC was so mad at me last night when I took South Carolina. RC was mad because he's like, "You stole my pick." Up until Saturday, I was going to tell you Richmond. I mean, what they were doing, one of the nation's longest win streak. I think VCU is really, really good, and they knocked them off. But Richmond was Jordan King, transfer from ETSU, I mean, the year that he's having. But I like the South Carolina pick. I do. But I'm going to go Carolina. I'm going to go Carolina. Coming off the Duke win, and, man, that was an impressive performance on Saturday.
Yeah. Good old-fashioned Carolina off there, North Carolina, South Carolina. All right, we have some crazy ones. I'm looking at our chat right now. You're not going to want to miss the next 10 minutes on Last Call. Things are going to get weird. I'll leave it at that. Join us back here on the Field of 68's Last Call. Welcome back. It's the final minutes of the Field of 68's Last Call. We are live on Stadium. We are wrapping up another great night of the Field of 68 After Dark. Matt McCall, Jarrell McNeil, Greg Waddell with you until the end of the show. Get your questions in. We'll take them as long as we can until the show wraps. We're going to start this segment with a question from Pete that is directed to me. It says, Greg, any notable developments this week across the country in the bench body language department? Now, I do specialize in this category, gentlemen. I like to say I have a basketball body language PhD. The good news for Pete here is there have not been any Category 5 body language developments. There have been some minor issues, so some developments, some rumblings that my team is far into the research lab on. But most notably, the big question was Xavier Booker at Michigan State, you know, the five-star McDonald's All-American freshman who keeps getting DNP coaches' decisions, and then his coach keeps saying how badly he wants to play him, but he doesn't play him. That's one we're monitoring, but it's Category 4 right now, not Category 5. So we'll report back on future Last Calls on Stadium. Question about a bench, though. This one could maybe be a body language development from David. Who is the Kansas State hype man? You two were trying to dissect and diagnose this all night, McCall. Did you get the answer?
I did not, but there was a tweet put out by the Field of 68 that said he was the guy that was trying to make sure don't storm the court. When every single made basket, he was turning around trying to get the crowd going. So I don't think we got the answer. Did we get the answer?
I don't know the answer. Jarrell, do you know the answer?
I don't know the answer.
I do not have the answer. I just see the video. He was hyping everybody up. Now he's telling everybody, please don't rush the floor. So I have no idea who that is. But man, he did. He brought it tonight. I do know that much.
He brought it tonight. He did his job
on the end of that bench. Yeah, getting it going.
Yeah, and it looked like late. You guys alluded to this earlier, but it looked like late he was trying to keep the fans off so that everyone could make a safe exit before people rushed the floor. So on that note, that's great. I'm sure somewhere Matt Painter is lighting a nice, soft little dimly lit candle and making sure he takes a warm bath in celebration that people got off the floor safely tonight in Manhattan. Here's a question from Kyle, another one directed at me. What do you know? He says, what's up with Greg's facial hair? Well, Kyle, I'll have you know, I lost a bet to my good friend Carter Elliott. We often do these bets where if a team loses or the point spread cover situation, one of us has to do something incredibly stupid. So his challenge to me was to have Braden Smith's facial hair for 7 days. I get to shave this tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Eastern time. So 8 hours and 36 minutes away. from you never seeing this on my face again. Any comments, boys, on my facial hair? You guys have been good sports not bringing it up until now, but anything you'd like to say about this situation?
No, I think it looks great, man. You look great. If you got to cut it off, cut it off. I mean, you look like Braden Smith. I mean, there's worse people to look like than Braden Smith. I mean, look, man, that guy was
There's a lot worse. A lot worse people to look like
he was
the Braden
terrific
Smith.
yesterday. So I would, yeah, come on.
It's the first time I've ever been mistaken for someone with 16 assists, McCall. That's not normally in my game. Here's one from Justin. This is a fun one. What's worse, negative 30 degrees or 110 degrees? Jarrell, what do you think?
No, it's a no-brainer for me. I'm going negative 30. Look, I'm a Chicago guy, so cold weather and me do not just I'm used to it, but it's just a part of my life I kind of want to be over at this juncture. So yeah, I'll take the 110. You know, I spent some time out in Arizona and Phoenix. It gets a little bit hot out there, but you know, some mild, cool nights usually after the sun goes down in that desert temperature. But yeah, I'm taking that over negative 30. It was negative 10 here not too long ago, about 2 weeks ago, and it felt like the world was ending. So no thanks.
I already know McCall's answer here.
Yeah, you don't have to. You move on to the next question. Let's get one more in. Let's get one more.
A man of your such nice tan, McCall. We're not going to question that. Can I just push back on this, though, guys? If you're cold, you can always put more layers on. If you're unbearably hot, there's a certain limit to the layers you can take off.
No, stop. Stop.
That's it. I don't get
Being
anything.
hot is fine. I'll play golf. I'll go on runs. I'll play golf. I'll be in 110 degree heat. I will love it. Negative 30? Are you kidding me? That is like it burns. It's so cold. Negative 30.
It's like day after tomorrow temperatures.
Yeah. No, we ain't doing that.
All right. Okay. I'm just checking. It's the Michigan winners, gentlemen. Hey, they mold strong men here in Michigan. That's what the winners do. A question from Rob. I don't know if this is Rob Doster or what, but Rob asks, how much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood?
Great job, Greg. You read it right.
That's a win.
That
had to be like plus 300 odds that I would nail that.
That's a win. That's a win.
We'll take that.
I couldn't
have done
that.
All right. And anybody else want to give that a run? I nailed it. Anybody else?
No, you got it.
Butcher it. No, thank you.
No
thanks. I will butcher it.
Matt McCall, Jarrell McNeil, thank you guys so much. Thank you to the chat mob for rocking with us tonight. We'll be back tomorrow night on the Field of 68 after dark.